Methods that are involved in natural method, one is called periodic abstinence, the second one is called withdrawal method or coitus interruptus, and the third one is called lactational amenorrhea. ARTs are nothing but assisted reproductive technologies which will help even the couples who do not have children to bear a child. What is infertility? Infertility is defined as inability to produce children by couples in spite of unprotected sexual cohabitation. Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to yet another session regarding the revision class of chapter 3 of 2nd PUC Biology, Reproductive Health. It's a very important chapter from examination point of view. Myself, P. Shobharani from the Department of Biology, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence in Mysuru. So let us discuss what are the important concepts that you need to study from this particular chapter, chapter 3 called Reproductive Health of 2nd PUC Biology syllabus. As we all know that this chapter, that is the chapter 3 called the Reproductive Health, has a weightage of 7 marks. So what are the important concepts you need to concentrate from the examination point of view? Let us discuss. So I have given in this particular slide the flow chart. First of all, what is reproductive health? As we all know that according to WHO, that is World Health Organization, reproductive health means what? Total well-being. Total well-being in all aspects. In all aspects means what? Physical, physiological, emotional and social well-being. So there are lots and lots of various problems that we need to address to and the strategies that we need to implement to gain a reproductive health. So reproductive health is very important for a reproductively healthy society. So in this particular chart, I have given the methods of birth control. As we know, day by day the population is increasing and we need to reduce the increase in population. So what is the best method? So the best method is the birth control methods. In other words, we call them as contraceptives, right? So what are the methods of birth control? So here we have both temporary methods as well as permanent methods. So what are the temporary methods? So temporary methods include the natural method, barrier method, IUDs, that is intrauterine devices, and injectables and implants, and the last but one is the surgical. Surgical comes under permanent methods. Right? Now, what are the important methods that are involved in natural method? One is called periodic abstinence. The second one is called withdrawal method or coitus interruptus. And the third one is called lactational amenorrhea. So the whole of the methods for birth control have been broadly classified into two categories. What are the two categories? One is called the temporary method. The other one is called the permanent method. So all this what I am discussing up to here is the temporary method, and the permanent methods include the surgical methods. Now, what are the important methods or natural methods? As I said, periodic abstinence. Anyhow, in the coming slides, I am going to discuss what is periodic abstinence, what is the second method called withdrawal method, or also you can call it as what? Coitus interruptus, then lactational amenorrhea. Then comes the barrier method. Barrier method includes diaphragm, cervical caps, walls, condoms, and spermicidal cream. These come under which category? Barrier methods. IUDs, intrauterine devices, where we classify them into non-medicated IUDs. Like for example, we have the lips loop. Very important point to be noted because in most of the question papers they'll ask, name the non-medicated IUD, which is the answer, lips loop. Then we have copper releasing IUDs like copper T, copper 7 and multi-load 375. And we have injectables and implants also. And the best and the safer method is the surgical method, that is tubectomy, which is conducted in females, and vasectomy, which is conducted in males. Anyhow, I am going to discuss all these methods in the coming slides. Moving on to methods in ART. What do you mean by ART? Assisted Reproductive Technologies. Assisted reproductive technologies. As we know, many couples who do not have children or who do not have issues can take the help of ARTs. So even the couples who are not able to produce the children in natural method can go for this particular methods called ART. What is ART? Assisted reproductive technology. So what are all the methods that are included under ARTs? Test tube baby program. You might have heard about test tube baby, which includes IVF, that is in vitro fertilization, and ET, that is embryo transfer. So test tube baby is commonly called as what? What method it is? IVF, in vitro fertilization, and ET is embryo transfer. Then we have gamete intrafallopian transfer, that is GIFT. Then we have intracytoplasmic sperm injection, that is ICSI. Then artificial insemination, which is short form is AI. Then we have GIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian transfer. Then IUT, that is intrauterine transfer. So all these are the methods which are implemented in this ARTs. ARTs are nothing but assisted reproductive technologies which will help even the couples who do not have children to bear a child. Anyhow, in the coming slide, again, I'm going to discuss one by one all these methods. Moving on to the different methods of birth control, already I have told. Natural method includes what? Periodic abstinence, coitus interruptus or withdrawal method, and lactational amenorrhea. Barrier method, that is we have condoms, cervical caps, vaults, diaphragms. We can also call them as chemical methods. IUDs include what? Copper releasing IUDs, hormone releasing IUDs, and non-medicated IUDs. Then comes injectables. Then surgical method, vasectomy in case of male, tubectomy in case of female. And very important is this, the most commonly used is oral contraceptives, that is the oral pills. So all these are the different methods of contraceptions or the methods of birth control to avoid bearing child. Next, so let us move on to the multiple choice questions. As I said, from the last year you have this change pattern where you have main part A1 has the multiple choice questions where you will have around 15 questions. So what might be the type of MCQs or multiple choice questions that may appear in your question paper in this coming examination? So I have just given two examples to make you understand like what type of questions might be asked or what is the method. So here, moving on to the first question, which of the following sexually transmitted diseases is not completely curable? So as we all know, STDs means what? Sexually transmitted diseases. So what are all the sexually transmitted diseases? Gonorrhea, genital wart, genital herpes, and chlamydia. So all these come under sexually transmitted diseases. But the question is, which of the following sexually transmitted diseases is not completely curable? There are other sexually transmitted diseases which are curable when diagnosed at the right time. But which is the disease, sexually transmitted disease, which is not completely curable? The answer is genital herpes. That is option C, genital herpes is not completely curable disease. The rest can be cured. Next, an example for non-medicated IUDs. So, as we already discussed in the flow chart, when we discussed the temporary method called barrier method, so one such method is IUD, that is intrauterine devices. So, an example for non-medicated IUD, is it copper T, lips loop, LNG 20 and multi-load 375. Already I discussed non-medicated IUD is option B, that is lips loop. So this is how you get your multiple choice questions. So as I said, to score good marks in biology, you need to answer completely all the 15 questions right. So then only you'll be able to score good marks, maybe even the fill in the blanks also. Moving on to the type of questions. So I have discussed in this particular session the questions which were asked in the previous years, that is from 2014 to 2023. So these are the questions which were repeatedly asked in the question paper. So now let us discuss what were the type of questions that were asked. What is infertility? Give reasons for infertility in human. What is infertility? Infertility is defined as inability to produce children by couples in spite of unprotected sexual cohabitation. They have not implemented any contraceptive methods of birth control, but still they are not able to have children. So that means they are infertile couples. So what might, even male also might be infertile, or even the female might be infertile. So even if one of the couple also is infertile, then they'll not be able to bear children. So that, what do you mean by infertility? Infertility is defined as inability to bear children. Then reasons for infertility. There are a good number of reasons to quote for infertility. What they might be: physical, congenital, maybe right from the birth. Then diseases, they may be having different types of diseases, or they are prone to drugs, or it might even they are habituated of taking many medicines also, that also immunological. So by birth also their body is very weak, so or the immunity level is very less. So in that case also they may not be able to bear children. Psychological is very important. Mental ability also matters a lot to bear a child. So all these are the important reasons to quote for infertility in couples. So in humans, it is given generally for human. It may apply even for the male or even for the female. Next, give one example for hormone releasing IUD. There we asked non-medicated IUD, that is lips loop. Then give one example for hormone releasing IUD, that is progestasert and LNG20 is the answer. Moving on to question number 5. Write the procedure of IVF-ET techniques. Already I told, ARTs are nothing but assisted reproductive technologies which comes to the rescue of the childless couple to bear a child. So one among such technique is IVF-ET technique, which is also commonly called as test tube baby program. So what are the methods or what are the steps that are involved in IVF-ET technique? So in vitro fertilization. In vitro fertilization, the very word itself will tell, fertilization outside the body in almost similar conditions as that in the body, followed by embryo transfer is one of such methods. In this method, popularly known as test tube baby program, ova from the wife or donor, the ova might be taken either from the wife or from the donor, that is the female donor, and sperms from the husband, or it might be even another male donor, are collected and are induced. So the ova and the sperm are fused or induced to form zygote. So they are induced to undergo fertilization to form zygote under simulated conditions in the laboratory. So all the conditions are taken care to see that whatever condition is found inside the body, the same simulated conditions is also provided in the laboratory for further process. Next, now the zygote is formed or early embryo with up to what stage? Up to 8 blastomere stage could then be transferred into the fallopian tube. So it is called zygote intrafallopian transfer. Here the zygote is transferred into the fallopian tube. So it's not the gamete, it is the zygote after fertilization. So it is called, one of the ART called zygote intrafallopian transfer. Then the embryos with more than 8 blastomeres into the uterus, which is called IUT, intrauterine transfer, to complete further development. So these are the very important methods of ART, and this one such method is very, very important, ART. Next, write the procedure of ICSI technique. What do you mean by ICSI technique? It is also one of the ART, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Even when the males are not able to produce sufficient sperms, or maybe the female is not able to undergo the process of fertilization, then this ICSI technique is very important. So it is another specialized procedure to form embryo in the laboratory in which sperm is injected into cytoplasm of the ovum, and to achieve fertilization, sperm is collected either from the male parent by masturbation, and single healthy sperm is then injected into the prepared ovum. So that is called ICSI, intracytoplasmic. So the sperm is injected into the cytoplasm of the ova, hence the name ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Then AI, that is artificial insemination. In this technique, semen is collected either from the husband or from a healthy donor, is artificially introduced into the vagina or into the uterus of the female. So this is also another one important ART. This is ICSI and this is AI. Already we discussed IVF-ET, Okay, then gift, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer. Next, give an example for non-medicated IUD. Already I told lips loop. This is a very important common question which is appeared in many of the question papers. That is the reason why I have picked up all the questions that have been asked from March 2014 to March 2023. So here, that is the reason this is one like question which is repeatedly asked. So this is like the most probable question which may appear in your coming examination. Next, mention any 4 sexually transmitted diseases, that is STDs. Sexually transmitted diseases are what? Syphilis, gonorrhea, hepatitis B and AIDS. So you need to name any 4, and this is for 2-marker question. So each STD will be given half a mark, right? Next, what are the features of an ideal contraceptive? So this is also a very important question which is asked from the examination point of view. This is like the most probable question. As I keep repeatedly I'm telling, the questions what I have discussed in this particular session of the revision class for chapter 3 of your second PUC biology syllabus, that is reproductive health, these are the ones which are repeatedly asked. So what are the features of an ideal contraceptive? It should be user-friendly, easily available, effective, reversible, with no or less side effects, and in no way it should interfere with the sexual drive. And this is for 2-marker question. Each feature carries half a mark. So user-friendly, easily available, effective, reversible, with no or less side effects, in no way interferes with the sexual drive. So it gives the natural sexual drive. Next, name 2 hormone-releasing IUDs. Progestasert and LNG20. Even this is the one which is commonly asked. Moving on to next question, that is question number 10. Define infertility. Already I told you this is like the most probable question. And right to assisted reproductive technology to overcome infertility. Already I told what is infertility: inability to bear child or inability of the couple to produce children in spite of unprotected sexual cohabitation. Expand abbreviation IVFET, in vitro fertilization and embryo transfer, or commonly we call it as what? Test tube baby. AI, that is artificial insemination. ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Gift, gamete intrafallopian transfer. Explain any 5 types of assisted reproductive technology, that is test tube baby. Already I told in vitro fertilization, embryo transfer is popularly known as what? Test tube baby. Ova and sperm are collected from the individuals or from the healthy donors and are allowed to fertilize to form the zygote under simulated conditions in the laboratory. So this is about IVFET. So we'll let us see the next assisted reproductive technology, that is the zygote intrafallopian transfer. The zygote are early embryos, could then be transferred into the fallopian tube, which is called as what? GIFT. Then the embryos with more than 8 blastomeres are introduced into the uterus, called IUT, that is intrauterine transfer, to complete its further development. Embryos formed in vivo fertilization also can be used for such transfer to assist those females who cannot conceive. Gamete intrafallopian transfer, the very word itself will tell you, transfer of an ovum from a donor into the fallopian tube of another female who cannot produce ovum. So called gamete intrafallopian transfer, but can provide suitable environment for fertilization, and further development is another method which is attempted here. Then ICSI, already I told, intracytoplasmic sperm injection is another specialized procedure to form an embryo in the laboratory, in which a sperm is directly injected into the cytoplasm of the egg. Next comes AI. In this technique, the semen collected is either from the husband or from the healthy donor and is artificially introduced either into the vagina or into the uterus, called intrauterine insemination. So all these are the ARTs, which is a very important question from examination point. Definitely you will get some question regarding this particular concept called ARTs, that is assisted reproductive technology, which includes IVFET, which includes ICSI, which includes GIFT, GIFT, AI. All these are the different methods of ART. So definitely from this particular concept, questions will be appearing. Next, what are contraceptives? How do you define the word contraceptive? Or the methods of birth control are called contraceptives. Explain 4 different non-surgical contraceptive methods. So the devices that are used for avoiding pregnancy is called natural method. Already I told, natural method includes what? Periodic abstinence, withdrawal method or coitus interruptus, and lactational amenorrhea. This is also a very important question from examination point of view, which may appear. So periodic abstinence, the very word itself will tell you, it is one such method where the couples can avoid or abstain, keep away from coitus or from intercourse from day 10 to 7. Why from day 10 to 7? As we all know, 14th day is called as ovulatory phase, which is called as the fertile period. So if you avoid that particular time or period, then unwanted pregnancy can be prevented. So 10 to 17th of the menstrual cycle, when ovulation could be expected, as chances of fertilization are very high during this period, which is called as the fertile period. 10 to 17 is called as the fertile period, and if they avoid the coitus in that particular period, definitely they can avoid unwanted pregnancy. So contraceptive methods are the one which are implemented by the couples to avoid unwanted pregnancy. Then withdrawal method or coitus interrupters. So the conception would be prevented by withdrawal. The conception means getting pregnant can be avoided by a withdrawal method or coitus method in which the male partner withdraws his penis from the vagina just before ejaculation as to avoid insemination. What is insemination? That is introduction of the sperms into the female genital tract, which can be avoided, is called withdrawal method or coitus. Next comes lactational amenorrhea. Very, very important. The very word itself will tell absence of menstruation. Till a mother is lactating her child or she is feeding the young one with the milk, then during that particular period, immediately after the childbirth, after delivery, maybe for 3 to 4 months, she will not have her menstrual cycle because she will be feeding the young one. So that is also considered as a safe period for coitus. So method is based on the fact that the cycle does not occur during the period of intense lactation following parturition. So immediately after the childbirth, up to 3 months or 4 months, she will not have her menstrual cycle as she is lactating mother. So that is also a safe period. So all these are called as the natural methods, which will not have any side effects. Moving on to barrier method. Already I told you, in barrier methods, sperms and ovum, the very concept of contraceptives is avoiding the fusion of the male gamete and the female gamete. So here, sperms and ovum are prevented from physically meeting with the help of the barrier. Such methods are available for both male and female. For example, one of the barrier method is condoms, which is nothing but a thin rubber latex sheath that are used to cover the penis in the male or vagina and cervix in female just before coitus, so that the ejaculated semen would not enter into the female reproductive tract, and this can prevent conception. So that is the reason why even the condoms are distributed by the health department to avoid unwanted pregnancy and to even for spacing the children. So these are all the methods that are implemented to avoid overpopulation or to prevent population explosion. Next comes Nirod. Again, this is again a popular brand of condom for male. Use of condom also protecting the users from contracting. And not only that, these are the ones which will also help the couple from getting contracted with the STDs, that is sexually transmitted diseases. Both the male and female condoms are disposable and can be self-inserted and gives privacy to the user. Diaphragm, cervical caps and walls are also one of the barrier methods used as barrier methods, which is nothing but made up of rubber that is inserted into the female reproductive tract to cover the cervix during coitus. So what is this method doing? It is going to prevent conception by blocking the entry of sperms through the cervix. Spermicidal creams, jellies and foams are used along with these barriers to increase this contraceptive efficiency. Then intrauterine devices. These devices are inserted, and particularly IUDs cannot be self-inserted by the user, but it has to be inserted by qualified doctors or expert nurses in the uterus through vagina, because it may have some side effects also. So that is the reason why they are introduced or inserted by doctors or expert nurses. And these intrauterine devices are presently available as the non-medicated. These intrauterine devices are copper 7, multilode 375, and the hormone releasing, already I told, progesterone and LNG 20. Copper ions. So what will these copper ions do? Copper releasing IUDs, they release copper ions which will suppress the sperm motility. If the sperm becomes immotile, definitely it will fail in reaching the ovum and fertilization will not happen. Then the hormone releasing IUDs, in addition to make the uterus unsuitable for implantation and the cervix hostile to sperm. So the cervix will not receive the sperms. It will make hostile. Then IUDs are ideal contraceptives for the females who want to delay pregnancy and space children. Moving on to oral contraception. As I already said, this is also one temporary method where oral administration of small doses of either progestogens or progesterone estrogen combination is another contraceptive method used by the females. They are used in the form of tablets commonly called as what? Oral pills. They are commonly called as oral pills. And I think the most commonly used is Saheli, which is developed by CDRI, Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow. So this is a very common oral pill. Now how is this pill going to act as an effective contraceptive? Pills have to be taken daily for a period of how many days? 21 days, starting preferably within the first 5 days of menstrual cycle. So pills have to be taken daily for a period of 21 days, starting preferably with the first 5 days of menstrual cycle. Again, after a gap of 7 days, it has to be repeated in the same pattern till the female desires to prevent conception, till the female wants to avoid spacing or to avoid unwanted pregnancy. She can keep on taking this and she should repeat the cycle here. They inhibit also, what is this oral pill doing? It inhibits ovulation, that is formation of ova, and implantation as well, and alter the quality of the cervical mucus to prevent the entry of sperms. Pills are very effective with lesser side effects and are well accepted by the females. So most of the females take this oral pills. As I already told, Saheli, the new oral contraceptive for the female, which was designed by CDRI, that is Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow, is a non-steroidal preparation. So it will not have any side effect on the health of the female. It is once a week pill. So she can take this once a week pill with very few side effects and high contraceptive value, that is, it may prevent contraception. So moving on to question number 13. Mention the reasons for population explosion. As I said, population of India is increasing day by day. So what is the reason for the increase in the population? So a rapid decline in death rate, that is maternal mortality rate, and IMR, infant mortality rate. So thereby is increase in the population because there is a decline, lesser death rate. May it be MMR, that is maternal mortality rate, or it might be IMR. It is because of the good health facilities that are available in India right now. So we have very good hospitals and we have very good medicines to take care of a diseased person. So obviously the death rate has been decreased, and even the pregnant woman is taken care, and even after the delivery, even the infant is taken care properly. So nowadays, the death rate of MMR mothers or maybe the infant has been decreased. Next, increase in the number of people in reproducible age. So we have more number of the age group who are under reproductive age. So that is also might be the reason why we have more population explosion. Next, question number 14. List the measures to prevent sexually transmitted diseases. So this is one such question which is usually asked in the examination. So what are the measures that are implemented to prevent getting contaminated or getting infected with sexually transmitted diseases? Avoid sex with unknown partners or multiple partners. Always use condoms. Already I said it is not only a best method for a contraceptive method to avoid unwanted pregnancy or to space children, but it is also one best method to avoid getting contacted with sexually transmitted diseases during coitus. Then in case of doubt, for example, they feel that they have been infected with some STD. So without any hesitation or without any social stigma, they have to contact immediately the qualified practitioner for early detection. So earlier the disease is diagnosed, proper treatment can be given, and they can be saved from the sexually transmitted diseases. Right? Any two simple principles to prevent sexually transmitted disease. So what are the two very important? Avoid sex with unknown partners and multiple partners, and always use condoms during coitus. Next, what is contraception? Briefly explain two surgical methods to prevent conception. Already I told, we discussed about the natural methods, the barrier method, the IUDs, about the oral pills, etc. But we had not discussed about the permanent or the surgical methods. So that also we already discussed in the flow chart. The surgical methods include what? vasectomy and tubectomy. Vasectomy, tubectomy in case of females and vasectomy in case of males. What are these? Already explained what is contraception. So what are these surgical methods helping out? They prevent conception, which are useful to control childbirth and unwanted pregnancy is called contraception. So what is tubectomy? Tubectomy can also be called as female sterilization procedure. What is the procedure done here? It is a female sterilization technique in which both the fallopian tubes are cut and tied, and small part of the fallopian tube is removed or tied up through a small incision in the abdomen through vagina to prevent fertilization. So these techniques are highly effective, but reversibility is very poor. So here the fallopian tube is cut and tied. Vasectomy in case of male, it is also called male sterilization technique in which both the vas deferens are cut and tied. So these are the very important methods or surgical methods to prevent conception. Then moving on to question number 17. Mention any 4 sexually transmitted diseases. I already told you, I have repeated the same in this previous question. That means to say that this was the question which was repeatedly asked in many a question paper. That is syphilis, gonorrhea, hepatitis B and AIDS. Next, mention any 2 natural methods of birth control, or they might ask mention any 2 barrier methods, or mention any 2 IUDs, or mention any 2 surgical methods. So these are the type of questions which are repeatedly asked from this particular chapter called reproductive health, which has a weightage of 7 marks. So periodic abstinence, withdrawal or coitus interruptus, or also you can quote one more, that is what? Lactational amenorrhea. Next, what is medical termination of pregnancy? Short form is MTP. Very important question which might also be asked in the coming examination. What is MTP? MTP means what? Medical termination of pregnancy, or it is called induced abortion. Mention the safe period. At what time period of gestation the female can go for this particular technique called MTP. So as I already said, what is medical termination of pregnancy, or intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy? A female is pregnant but she doesn't want to carry it forward, so she doesn't want that child, so then she goes for an MTP. That is called intentional, wantingly, and voluntary of pregnancy, that is termination of pregnancy before full term, before she completes. As I already said in the previous chapter, human reproduction, in human the gestation period is 9 months. So before the female completes her gestation period, she has to go for MTP. Now again, the second question is what? Mention the safe period. So at what period of gestation she is supposed to go for MTP? Otherwise, she may put under her life into risk. And what is this MTP helping in? Avoid increased human population also. And MTPs are considered relatively safe during the first trimester. First trimester means that is up to 12 weeks of pregnancy, or we usually call it as 3 months. So second trimester is not safe. That is 6 months of period of pregnancy. She should not go for MTP, which is a very risky factor for the mother. So second trimester abortions are much more risky. Hope you have understood the important questions what I have discussed in this particular chapter 3 called Reproductive Health of 2nd PUC Biology syllabus. So these were all the questions and important concepts which may appear in the coming board examination. Hope I am clear with the concepts in this particular session. Thank you.